Good morning. It is Sunday, October 28th, and today is more discussion on Hurricane Sandy Day. Pretty much everything we said yesterday is going to be about the same, unfortunately, because what we're describing is, I think, a devastating event for portions of the mid-Atlantic states, generally where the center comes in northward, but the surge will go beyond that. So, for example, if the storm moves in southern New Jersey, the surge will continue into Long Island, New York City, Connecticut, all along Long Island Sound and southern New England. The winds will be offshore south of that, but let's not jump ahead of ourselves too much. In any case, this is the visible image from this morning. You can see there's still a lot of convection with it. The pressure has dropped to 951 millibars. So even though it has brought in a lot of dry air and a lot of shear, this is all a different mechanism now. And we're going to want to talk about the fact this will become or deemed extratropical or post-tropical in about 2 days. I'm not sure how the Hurricane Center is going to handle that, but as soon as they do that, they stop issuing advisories, and you look at all your local weather advisories. So folks that are relying on HurTrack, as soon as the Hurricane Center says it's now post-tropical, the products coming out of the HurTrack system will stop. Luckily, the forecast data will still be there, and I think they're not going to call it post-tropical till it gets pretty close onshore. In any case, let's move forward. Here's the current. Let's put it into motion. You can see the last 12 hours, infrared, then visible. Just moving quickly now off to the northeast. Normally we would say, great, it's going out to sea, but we've talked about that big blocking high to the north, which is still there, which is still forecast to bring the storm back to the west once it hits around this area, around 40, that's 35, I don't know, 41 north or something like that. In any case, let's move and take a look at those forecasts now. We'll start with the GFS. This is current position. Going to move it out 24 hours, 48 hours. I went too far. It's going to be a quick turn. Here's 24 hours, 30 hours moving due north, 36 hours starting to move to the northwest, and this is 29th tomorrow afternoon. So they're moving it quicker now. The GFS before had taken it further out. So in 42 hours, that's just tomorrow night. It's this is the 28th, the 30th. Yeah, tomorrow night it has moved on shore right near Philly, right through southern Jersey near Long Beach Island, where I used to vacation as a kid. I'm concerned about all of the boardwalks and the homes on Long Beach Island. As you can imagine, it is an island with a long beach. Not a good thing for a storm, but they haven't seen a storm like this, I don't think, ever. That's going to be a wreck if this verifies. 48 hours, it will just move it in Philly, or I'm sorry, over to western PA and then on out eventually, but this whole area is just going to be a mess. Here's the European, 24 hours, 48 hours, which would be Monday night. So the GFS is quicker than the European, which is quite a change. 72 hours it's in, so the European's about 12 hours later. This is Monday night, and pressure there is 944 millibars. It had just come from 956, so one could imagine it could be even lower than 944, although I can't imagine it. This brown area of winds here, this is again at the upper levels, is up around 100 knots. If you bring that down to the surface, even with those pressures, I mean, if you're 850 surface pressure, that's your surface wind, but if you bring that down to the surface, you're at least about 80 knots or so. Bring that into the Jersey Shore, New York, Long Island. Again, I guess I don't need to say it, but they're not overplaying this storm on the media. A lot of times they do, but not this time. Then it moves in, moves on out, same thing. So this is the official forecast. Pretty much follows that. 80 miles per hour moving in, and you might say, gee, 80 miles per hour, not a big deal, but for coming in from the southeast on the Jersey Shore, a storm this big with a lot of advanced wind and a lot of advanced surge, this is a big deal. It would be a big deal anywhere it came in, but we look at the central pressure more than the wind speeds to determine the energy of a storm. And a 940 to 950 storm moving into New Jersey or this whole area, that has the same power as a 944 tightly wound storm in the Gulf, which would be a Category 4 probably, 3 or 4. In any case, some of these winds here show advanced winds, so don't be misled by that. We're talking about most of the coastal flooding, obviously, in the exposed area along the coast, which makes sense. And the inland winds are going to be responsible for a lot of trees down, obviously power outages like we've been speaking about for the last few days, and this will be the main story up to the election, getting all these folks up and running. Let's do a quick animation. This may be too quick. I'll slow it down next pass. There it is. Takes that left turn right on in. We've looked at this wind thematic. It's a county wind thematic. Just to give you an idea, this is not using advanced wind. So as I said yesterday, assume these are winds along the coast, sustained winds with gust higher, and inland assume these are gusts. So if you're right along the coast, there's Long Beach Island, I think right here, right in the center of it. They could be getting sustained winds near 80 miles per hour directly on shore. New York City, hurricane force, again along the shore. When you get inland, New Jersey, these are probably more likely gusts, but 80 mile per hour gust through here from a southeast direction is again going to be bringing trees down. Not sure how many leaves are left up there. It'd be worse if there were a lot of leaves on the trees. So maybe that would be, we know there's not going to be any leaves on the trees after the storm, but the fact we're in late October may help out quite a bit. The pine trees it won't, but it will the hardwood trees. But that's the area where I see a lot of power outages, a lot of troubles. If you want to equate it to the election, states in play would probably just be maybe Pennsylvania, in the eastern part here being most affected. But this is going to bring a lot of winds inland too, although I think they'll be able to handle the power outages in the western portion of this. It's going to be, the real problem is going to be eastern PA, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. You can see the whole area here. Not as much down here because these will be more westerly winds. If you haven't been reading the advisories, I think it's worth mentioning this first line here. Life-threatening storm surge flooding the mid-Atlantic coast, Long Island Sound, New York Harbor. Winds expected to be near hurricane force at landfall. Plus the direction of motion, landfall from the southeast. That's unusual, and that's what's going to make this worse than a storm just paralleling the coast. You need to keep that in mind if you're up there. The other thing is down here, notice at 48 hours they're saying it's post-tropical. That's when it's still barely offshore. Well, not that barely, but 73.7. At this point, the Hurricane Center will stop issuing advisories. They may hold off till it makes landfall. That's what I recommend, since it is such an unusual system. This way people will not lose the forecast data, at least from this system and others. So equating it, that's just before landfall, and it'll be coming in an hour later, so it's probably not a big deal because the next forecast data would normally come out over central PA when it was over central PA. Well, actually, no, it would be when it's already inland, but by then the impacts have already occurred. So I think they are holding on to this longer than they normally would as a tropical cyclone, and I think that's a good idea. Yes, we should talk about rainfall. These are the 3-day rainfall forecast. 10 inches of rain, generally they have it at Delmarva. You can imagine heavy rain throughout this whole area. I don't think the rains will be the story of the day, though. It will be the wind storm surge, and I'm hoping that the areas along the Jersey Shore is still there. Asbury Park, the boardwalks, Atlantic City, the homes out on the islands when this storm is done. And so it's rare that I talk up a storm. I usually talk it down because the press or the media has hyped it up too much, but I don't think that's the case here. Let's hope I'm wrong and it's weaker, does something goofy like stalls out here and goes off to the northeast, because it is going to be the landfall that makes the biggest difference. So I wish I had motion. I could probably find motion, but this is Kill Devil Hills, Avalon Pier, North Carolina. Obviously the windsock is struck straight out there. Very scary conditions out there in the Atlantic, and I'm sure the pier is closed unless you're a complete idiot. Let's see if I can't find a quick video here. If I can, I'll show that. Otherwise, we'll end the discussion. Well, here's a cam. It's kind of misty, but it's out of Nag's Head. You can see the waves rolling in. Found another one in New Jersey that's already looking pretty rough here. Manasquan, which is close to Long Beach Island location. This was actually aimed at a pier or some rocks earlier, which made it look more interesting, but it's starting to certainly pick up there, and hopefully this camera stays on while we during the storm and make it interesting. Anyhow, that's it for today. You have a good Sunday. We'll be back tomorrow with another update, and we're ending this season of video discussions, even though the season doesn't end until the end of November, but this is going to be the final big storm of the year, obviously. We're ending with a flurry of conversation. So you have a good Sunday. Again, we'll be back tomorrow with another update. Take care.